region that's the most world famous Three Gorges. And here you can witness and understand the poem written by Chairman Mao. And today we'll not bring you the landscape, and today we'll show you a bridge. So the right bridge, that's the right arc bridge, that's the Xiangxi Yangtze River Bridge. And today we give you the final stage of construction. The road or the road deck doesn't finish yet, but we can look at it. This look very beautiful, and that's also have a lot of number ones behind. This is the largest and the longest bridge around the world. That is the through arc span bridge. And there's also highlight that's different from the bridge in Wuhan, and this doesn't have a bridge pier. So this looks very beautiful and very spectacular, and we want to know more about the behind-the-scenes story. So let me show you our special guest. That's also the chief engineer, Mr. Jiang. So Mr. Jiang, we just noticed that the bridge did not has a pier. So how that can be constructed? To all the viewers, you can see this is a arc bridge. So at the entrance of the Xinling, so the two sides, the mountains actually are very sharp, so it's not really a favorable environment to build up that pier. And we think about the whole constructions, actually it's very challenging, so a lot of things that's impossible. So we think about the arc construction, we make sure this is the suspension bridge design that right fit in that area. So here is at the entrance of Xinlingxia. So look at that, that's really on the mountain, right? So this is really hard to do. So when we choose the area, we choose a place that's easy for us to construct. But here you look at the whole mountains, it's not really that easy. So we made the sharp or the whole mountains that's good for us to put the deck. So at the very beginning when we went here, the whole mountains is really, really hard for us. So we made from top to down. So we dig from every layers and right now come to the deck. So we make sure that have the horizontal working areas for us to continue. I noticed a detail. We talk about the whole deck. Actually, that's quite different. I believe that's a cable-stayed bridge, right? So think about the whole arc structure. So the whole force actually a vertical. So we need to give a very big support, and also at the horizontal we need to think about the pushing force. So we think about the whole balance of the vertical and horizontal forces. So you look at it, this is actually a little bit inclined, that's around 45 degrees. So to all the viewers, right now our boat is approaching to the arc bridge. We will give you a closer look at this bridge. And let's continue our interview with Mr. Jiang. We talk about the whole environment here, actually the rocks, the mountains. I believe that's also bring a lot of challenge to us, right? For all the terrain, actually at the Zigui County, this is really complicated. Look at our both sides of the mountain. They have different layers of the mountains, and of course they have the horizontal layer. But you look at their rock mass. We think like we want to choose the most horizontal areas, but actually you can see they have different inclined angles. And you also look at the rock mass here. That's also a grotto here. So think about, actually it's really, really hard to make any construction on it. And this is actually the limestone. So you think about on the right hand side, that's the source and side. So you need to first to make sure everything's safe for your construction. So you need to lay a solid foundation for us to continue our work. So need to make sure the rock mats are very solid. So we're approaching, let's look at especially the south side. So we need to first to make all the sides actually that should be suitable to build up the whole bridge. And we can see this is the after construction. So at this side we need to also have the 24 anti-slipping stakes. So all of these actually we see a 40 meters. So that to go through all the rock mass. So a lot of that's not really stable areas. We give a better support, and then we construct our pier. So from my understanding, it's like we have 24 anchors, sort to say. So this is the whole terrain so complicated. Any biggest challenge in your memory that can share with us? So we think about here, like for the surface rocks, there's a lot of cracks. So think about that the cakes. You think about the different layers of the cakes, the same as for the construction of the bridge. So we need to think about how we can protect our all workers' safety. So like when we do the exploration, we also need to make sure that people working for this project are protected. We are very close approaching to the longest arc span bridge. For this is also the biggest span, I believe. So let me show you two numbers. For a major span, that's 531 meters. So the two, let's say the piers in between, that's a main span of 531.2 meters. That's world number one. And also the arc with a span of 498 meters. That's also another world number one. We are right under the arc bridge. Let's witness the whole design. So this is very spectacular art. So this is the final stage. I believe that's already finished the whole construction. And now come to another big challenge. We're working on the road deck. So when everything finished, that will bring the connection of Zigui County. So that bring the north and south sides together. So the whole beautiful scene is like there is a right pop-up among all greens. That's very eye-catching. We right now pass through the arc bridge. Mr. Jiang, let's talk about more the construction. So as we introduced, we know this area, the whole environment actually not that favorable. So we need to think about the whole different rock mass. So we dig into the deep layers. We can see the rock actually really hard to get through. So we think about where we can choose the best foundations. So we use the explosion, but we also think about all the ways we're using should not really impact the whole environment. We think about that considered as a cake. So you can see same as the rock mass, there are different layers of the rock mass. So this is really beautiful, and we are on the boats. And we think the whole environment is so beautiful, but actually every beautiful thing for you as an engineer is a challenge. So we look at there is no the traditional understanding or considered as the bridge pier, how we can put different pieces together. So during the whole construction, we think about like for a Lego. We all play Lego. Or let's consider as building blocks. Let me give you an example here, so you can understand more with these cups. So let's consider right now we're doing the Spain bridge. Because we cannot really have anything in between, so we use the suspension bridge design. So let's say this is one stage. So they have its own weight, plus another stage. It cannot be stable. So you need to use other ways to give support to make sure we can give the support at least that can bear its own weight. So we give a cable plane. So that cable plane, that's a force from the top. So from the upper part, we give a force to make sure that it can give the balance. So we also can bring all different stages together. So we can link all this together. So like this cup, I'll give you a simulation here. So there's also another force at the side. That's the cable stayed bridge. So we consider it as each block. So we give all this block linked together. So we divided the whole arc into different pieces, into different blocks, and we bring all these blocks together. So how many pieces exactly we have? For the whole bridge, that's the 22 biggest block. So we also make all this assembly piece by piece. So Mr. Jiang showed us through the cups. Let's talk about how we can bring all these different pieces together. So let's look at the whole bridge here. We talk about the whole cable plane. But we also talk about, like, we look at a lock catch. That lock catch actually give the support, make sure each piece can support and be stable. And we also look at the cable stayed bridge. We talk about the both sides. So that's the tower, or that's the pylons. So this is double pylons at both sides. So we have viewers ask, so there are 22 cutoffs, or there are 22 truncation. So for all these, you can see that's combined by the two big parts. That's from the left-hand side and right-hand side. The heaviest part is around 265 tons. We have 22 truncations. To all the viewers tuning in at CCTV and CGTN, we welcome you to leave any message to us. And this is the biggest arc span bridge. And we look at that there are two pylons. So that's the two cranes. So you can see that the crane, we have the lock and strains, so that, or the cables. So they help us like to lift the pieces of arc up to the position. So make sure through the whole construction we give the good support, and we can put all each pieces linked together. So when we put the piece of the link into the position, we put the lock on. So we put the lock catch on. So you can see this is the whole bridge right now you are looking at. I'm standing here. It gives me the feel like right now we are at the entrance of Xinlingxia and feel the big wind here. And actually that's a big height from the top of the bridge to the surface of the river. So any big challenge given to the whole environment, actually there are a lot. So first, that's a big challenge to us is the wind. I believe you can feel it here. So this is actually, you can see there are a lot of mountains on both sides. And here we are at the downstream of the Three Gorges River, and this is also the important place to monitor the weather. So I think this gateway, I believe there are a lot of wind that can reach 6 levels. So for us, for the construction, especially for the safety issues, if that's a big wind, we cannot continue for the construction. And also for the undergoing project, for undergoing bridges, that's also the big challenge because of the wind. So later on, we think about the cars will go through the whole bridge. Actually, the road deck not finished yet, right? So that's in our consideration for the arc bridge at any level of height that can choose the road deck. So we think about that speed. The middle part, we will put our road deck. So we call it the half through arc bridge. So that you can choose a different. You can choose the higher through, middle through, or half through, or the lower level through. So for this one, we choose build up the road deck at the middle, so we call it half through. So we think about the whole construction later on. That will be a 2-way 4-lane highway bridge. So the road deck part, for this one, we will choose at the middle, so that will be the half through. So I say the viewers, they want to know when we have the whole bridge complete. So the car can be run here, I believe, the end of next year. So we still have a year and a half to go. So another viewer asked, there are 20 pieces, and they lift it to this part for the whole assembling stage. How we manage that? So we first off, we have the ships that help us from Wuhan. We produce all these at Wuhan, and we bring them from Wuhan to here, and we use the crane to lift every pieces from the ship to up to this air. And there are 2 touching points. The one point is to connect with the existing structure of the arc bridge. And another set, we have the A. That's what we talk about, the A lock hatch. So make sure every pieces can be locked and linked together. So this looks really nice, eye-catching, and talk about the whole length and the width. For the bridge is around the total length of 886 meters, and the whole span is around 512 meters. We always think about the arc span. That's the Zhaozhouqiu. I believe that's the most famous arc bridge. That's in your textbook. That's built up at the Sui dynasty, around 2,300 years history. So for our country, we have this technology managed that's long time ago. Till today, we look at the history and where we are now. For the ancestors, I believe they already managed the cutting-edge, world-leading techniques. Till now, for the modern age, for all the materials, mechanics, think about the whole big equipments, also the methodologies we use for calculation. I believe that's more advanced. For before our ancestors, that's more based on their experience, and also there's intelligence. Right now, we base on the system. We base on the whole system. So with time fly 2,300 years, I believe right now we enlarge our fun tradition of building this arc design. So this is basically the combination of beauty and force. So also the questions from our viewers, we talk about half through arc bridge. Where is the most difficult part? So at both sides, we have the A steel, that's the A steel truth. So that's at the both part. So that give the good support, and from the pylons and the truss, we will build up the whole cables and to build up the whole constructions. So make sure we have the solid foundation and the surface for the cars and the passengers to travel through. So now I give the floor to Xiangxi. So she will continue to give you more behind the scenes story. Thank you, Jinju. We talk a lot with our special guests. I believe all the viewers are very interested to find out more about this arc bridge. And now let's look at the both sides of the Yangtze River. Yesterday we had the whole big rain. And we see today we not have a big rain today, and the rain stopped. I believe today is around 20 degrees Celsius. The really cool weather, and the whole bridge will put into operation in 2019. It started 2016. So I believe next year we'll also create the largest arc bridge around the world. We talk about the largest span. So what is the span? So we talk about that's the 512-meter span, and the largest number is 519. We talk about this is a two-direction road, right? So right now with our consideration is a two-way 6-lane highway bridge. So the overall weight will be 23,000 tons. So I have a lot of questions on our special guests, and we understand that there are a lot of difficulties and challenges. And we also look at the terrain, and also the Three Gorges region. There is famous of the whole difficult and unfavorable environment. Any highlight for the whole constructions? Actually, we have the A4 technology that owned by ourselves. So think about the whole terrain. For the rock mass, we had our whole constructions, and we make through this. We make sure the whole bridge are very solid and stable. That's one technology we manage. So right now our boat is heading back. So for the whole bridge, I believe that there are a lot of risks, because for all the bridges, if you build up above the river, that have a lot of big winds. For the drone lovers, they will also feel that difficulties. I believe we face all these kind of risks throughout the year. So why we choose this location? So for the location, we think about the transportation consideration, and we also think about the whole terrains for the Xiangxi River area. Actually, there's no best place. So of course we face a lot of difficulties, but with all considerations, this is, I believe, the ideal place. So for this bridge, actually, that's linked together the south and the north sides of the Yangtze River to cross over. So after they complete in 2019, I believe put the end of the difficult transportation for people at the both sides. So at the very beginning, they only have the ships in between. And they have 3 time schedules, and right now we shortened to a half an hour. There is a ship travel between, and that's also they talk about the bridge that bring the people in Zigui County to modernization. So we talk about like for the national construction or for the national strategy that there will be bring no negative impact to the whole environment. I believe for our construction, we always put our environmental protection in our consideration for sure. We make sure that we meet that no dust will put into the river of Yangtze. So for the fundamental deck build up, when we build up the whole base, of course it will be the dust and sand, because we deal a lot with the rock mass. And we also think about the later on for the maintenance. So we bring all these not consider as the waste. So for the construction sand or dust, we collect them and we will preserve and put them into our later stage. So any technical design to against the wind. So we do the computer simulation, and we also need to verify our computer simulation. We bring to the lab, like all the information data we collect at here, and we bring all this data and information to the lab to do our wind test. So we bring back to the universities, and university or the institute help us to verify our result. And we also question that we still need to have the base, right? So the base is at what meters? Actually, that not really deep, because why we choose here, we choose at a very stable rock surface. So around 20 meters for the base. So we make sure that we build up the whole base on the very solid rock surface. We talk about the whole span length, that's the largest. So we want to know exactly how we can define that. So think about the arc design. So how we can really create that balance for the vertical and horizontal force. How we can encounter that threat force. So we think about that whether the bridge can create the force that can balance itself, or we need to build up the whole sticks to make the balance for the horizontal forces. So for us, this is the threat force arc bridge for us. So there are a lot of mechanical knowledge behind. So during the whole construction, there's no piers. So what's the lifespan of the whole bridge? We talk about the whole arc itself is a self-weight, and plus all the cars and passengers. The vertical, that's around the 14,000. And the horizontal is around 12,000 tons. That's for the payload. And for the lifespan, designed lifespan, as a concrete and steel construction that can last 100 years. And for the supporting structure, that also can last around 30 to 50 years. We are pass through the bridge again and back to our starting point for the whole life stream, and this is our longest arc bridge. So we talk about the environmental protection. We bring the dust or the construction waste for later use. And we also look at the limestone, for there is also very big dust, and there we can see the Zigui County. So during the whole construction, how we can make sure that we manage the noise and also manage the dust not pollute the river. Actually, the technologies we use, we also consider all these environments. We also use the waters to lower the level of the dust. So it's not in our traditional consideration that there's no big dust actually. The explosion we use is under our control, and we make sure everything is reach our limitation. So talk about the anti-shock that can reach the 6 magnitude. Thank you so much, our special guest. And invite Jinju back. To all the viewers, just now Huang Yanqiu talked with the Mr. Jiang, and I got 2 orange because it's orange are very famous in Zigui County, and we also have the very famous plum. Zigui also is a very famous hometown for orange, so this tastes really good. And we know this is a main place because before, without this bridge, the transportation is really hard. So they only need to use boats or the cars to transport, and it's really expensive and time consuming. So it's not really the cost-effective way to transport the whole orange. And right now, because of this whole bridge, we can have more and more home can enjoy this great orange. So we know that the road that's to the rich, the road to the modernization, we have that road, and we bring the rich life to the people in Zigui County. Let's come to the end of our live stream. We're from CMG. Thank you for watching.